So I'm going to show you some reasons why foreign workers hired by small contractors in Canada don't really follow or pay attention to safety rules. So there is a guy who's, look at me while I'm recording this one, and I'm going to show you the construction site. It's actually a renovation site. People don't wear any protection gear, so workers on the heights, no helmet, no harness, nothing. So there is just one. There was another one. I haven't seen one wearing helmet. I haven't seen one wearing a harness, like a body harness, like it's mandatory in Canada when you work at height. And same thing happens in other countries like Iran, Turkey, those countries where the local governments don't enforce this type of safety rules or legislation. I had so it's supposed to have some cones around the area, like you see that guy walking at the heights. I don't know if I see that in the image, the one that's like bending over. Yeah, so that's the norm for these guys. We had a team, or a contractor, some jerk from Iran, like a Persian guy who hired some dudes, very cheap type of people, like swearing all the time around the kids, talking loud. They left asbestos marks on the carpets, on the hallways. And so I had to call Works ABC here in British Columbia to look into that, and it took me a number of phone calls to get a hold of an inspector, because they were not willing to get into the confined area to take asbestos samples. So finally they took their own samples. I took my samples, I paid out of my pocket, and they took their own samples, and they learned that we had lots of asbestos, like 40% asbestos in the insulation. And so they managed to stop the work, but it took me some effort. And what I'm trying to say, that contractor had this type of workers, not following any safety protocols. And finally, when they were forced to restart the job following safety guidelines, like wearing all sorts of masks and confine the area, they backcharged our buildings management. So we paid out of our pocket for them to follow guidelines, because they said, yeah, we quoted you earlier, but now since Works ABC forced us to use extra gear, we have to charge your building management, so which came out of our neighbors' pockets. So what I'm saying, in some places people get away with cheap stuff, workers get injured, nobody cares about that. Everything is on the worker's shoulder, and that's not acceptable. But that's the norm here. So I'm in Romania right now, and seems that safety is something like on the paper, maybe, I'm not sure. But since this one is a major city and the workers have no trouble working like that without safety gear, it tells me this is a norm. When I went to an electrical supplier, actually it's called Deadman or something like that. It's like a Home Depot, equivalent of Home Depot in Canada, in the United States. I asked for some advice how to follow the local standards, and he said